How do you see spirituality and technology coexist in the future? Is the technology that they're going to release that's going to be, I believe, pro-human, free energy technology, is it going to be basically complementing each other or repel? This question comes from Jamie. I believe he's from Australia. He pretty much lives inside our Telegram group. What do you guys think? Do you guys think it's going to complement, or it's going to be sort of like trying to mix oil and water?
Well, I think it depends on which side prevails, or if there's compromise or whatnot. When the Patriots and the White Hats, if we come about and we take over this whole thing and we get our way, we're going to have complementary levels of technology. The technology that is existent right now, and I know this, I got my thumb on the heart of this movement in the sense of the spiritual aspect of it, that the technology that we're talking about that is being reverse engineered. One of the reasons why that this extraterrestrial, interdimensional, or whatever technology took so long to figure out how it worked is because it integrates directly with consciousness, is that it is conscious types of technology, not necessarily Leviathan, but it acts upon brainwave functionality and has to have a conscious interaction in order for it to function. And the levels of technology that are being brought about right now lack, in a sense, processing systems, because consciousness becomes that processor of these systems. In the sense of free energy, we had the Joe Rogan podcast just a few weeks ago. You had Randall Carlson on there, who is a archaeologist. He's basically done a lot of research in the Lower Dryas, talking about the ancient civilization that potentially was on this planet. Very legitimate source, works with Graham Hancock a lot. And he talked about how for the last 7 years, he's been working with this gentleman, a multi-billionaire, I believe out of Australia, who has been trying to reverse Victor Schonberger as well as Nikola Tesla's technology, and has been very successful at it, to the point where they have prototypes already built. And the way that they're going to release this, and Randall Carlson said they're going to release this in the next 3 months, is completely open source to humanity. They're not going to go out there, not going to file patents. They're just going to release it to humanity, get it out there. And we're talking about implosion level technology. So this, if you guys go out there and you know anything about the spiritual aspects, you have the masculine and you have the feminine. Masculine is explosive, feminine is implosive. Implosive technologies are a lot what Tesla talks about in the sense of scalar technologies, longitudinal waves, scalar waves, these types of things on how they operate, instead of like a traverse wave where your waveform, your magnetic field is actually projected outward in a wave and spiritual or toroidal fashion. It's actually imploded inwards in what we would call counter space. And this has a preservation of various levels of energy within that scalar waveform and allows the propagation of it almost instantaneously. And this brings about basically what we can consider 0-point energy technology, which I think we can see coming out on the market relatively soon. And if Randall Carlson was correct, in the next 3 months, this will be open source. And 5 years to 10 years, we're going to see this coming out in the mainstream.
SG-ANON, would you like to add something to that?
Absolutely. This great awakening, much like Josh was just talking about, with the unseen technologies, the intangibles of our world, the intangibles of our universe. That is the reason that we're here. Excuse me. Our identity was stripped away from us. We were never taught who we really are. If you point an electron microscope at your arm, you do not see skin cells. You don't even see molecules. You see mostly empty space. It is in that space that your spiritual body, your quantum field, your resonant presence, as you go through this 5-dimensional world that we live in, it is in that space that you interact with the space of all that is. Human beings have the ability to direct and control thought form. We have the ability to originate thought waves, the most powerful waves in all of science. Thought waves pierce and penetrate every point of time and space. We have thought wave transducers essentially in our heads that allow us the ability to receive input from that creator source that is the sort of presence of all, sustains the energy between your atoms and the energy between the atoms of all things. We can both receive input from that, excuse me, and then control and direct it. We have feedback We have emotional feedback that gives us a sense of where we're at in our spiritual journey. We have emotional feedback that helps govern our actions. We are programmed with certain moral absolutes. That's part of what this journey is about, is understanding that we're extraordinarily powerful created beings. We have real physical world interactive capabilities with things like ESP, with things like telepathy, with things like the ability to travel without gravity affecting us as we move along. We have quantum healing technology available to us. It's just been suppressed from us. We've had flight technology for hundreds and hundreds of years. We have the ability to do so much. We could spend a whole 45 minutes just on this segment. The two of them sort of come together, right? The cabal understood and has understood what our spiritual nature really is. That's where this COVID came from. It was a direct attack on our spiritual nature. It was a direct attack on our ability to interface with the God of all, the source of all. It was a direct attack to separate us from that sustaining energy, that life force, which allows us to govern this existence. We had to be hijacked to create the world for them because they're that incapable. They're a pathetic adversary. They're just extraordinarily well equipped. And so understanding who you are is part of understanding this journey. You have power, real physical power capable within your own body and spirit. It's just been hidden from you.
Absolutely. I know this is not one of your areas of expertise, SG-ANON, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Okay. In regards to the Q movement, how much of it do you think is really connected to the quantum financial system, Jasara, Nasara, the XRP, which is going to be the new and improved Bitcoin on steroids 5.0, the XLMs, the XDCs, the Iraqi dinars, the ZIMs, the rainbow currency, the gold-backed everything, etc.?
I don't think that you can have the public dissemination and the sort of information D-class that came through the Q boards and say that they're not connected. The Q board showed us what the problem was, but we also know that Q patriots at different levels, at different areas of government and political and military arenas throughout the world also understand how to fix the problem. President Trump signed the National Quantum Initiative Act in 2018. Loosely stated, this act gave the United States government, became public law, gave the United States government the funding needed, the directionality needed, and the authorization to begin developing quantum technology for all areas of society. To think that the operations aren't connected, I think is maybe not seeing the full picture. We have to take down the financial structures that have controlled the world, but we also have to replace them. The only way to replace them and be corruption-free is to leverage an area of technology and power that's always been available to us, but has always been hidden away from us. I think returning that to the people, when President Trump says, I'm giving power back to the people, it's not just the power of government. It's the power of people to control how things are exchanged. It's the power of people to control how things are sort of implemented and adhered to in this world. We have lots of evidence from various House resolutions, bills that have been tabled for discussion, bills that have been passed into law. I'd have to go back and check a couple of my notes on it, but I don't remember the exact names of them. But they deal with the quantum initiative as it pertains to money. They deal with crypto regulation, cyberspace security improvement, and a big focus given in one of those documents to the Quantum Initiative Act. So this is a coordinated operation at all levels.
So obviously you just gave me a clean bill of health. I'm not crazy after all. Hey, Josh, same question, buddy. I know you are a wealth of knowledge in this area, especially potentially the paper money over there. That's, as a matter of fact, Trump in one of his interviews on Fox at the end of the interview goes, we own $35 billion worth of dinars. You know, it's like, how are they going to pay us back? Well, we own $35 billion worth of their dinars. So he's put out enough breadcrumbs for the people who want to, understand what this is. Josh, take it away, buddy.
Yeah. Quantum financial system. Now, I know there's a lot of talk out there about this, and SG-ANON was correct. Trump really kind of paved the way for the funding of this matter with quantum.gov. And a lot of what they were developing was quantum infrastructure. This is, in the sense, is we've already have quantum computing. It already is at certain levels of advancement, but we don't have quantum networking. and we don't have the infrastructure to support quantum networking. And obviously, with the latest Nobel Prize being issued to a few guys in physics pertaining to quantum entanglement and how that works in a non-observer-based universe, basically non-locality-based universe, we can understand that this level of technology is about to skyrocket, and that we know they've already had this level of technology for 40 some years. And so Trump just kind of paved that way. Now, a quantum financial system is the next step in evolution of where we are headed in the world. Now, how do various cryptocurrencies play into that? Well, XRP, XLM, these are two interesting ones because they're known as interoperability tokens, and they basically translate information between other and various blockchains, as well as you have the XRP ledger, which is set to be the replacement for the SWIFT system. I know that there's a lot of talk before the XRP lawsuit about this. During the SEC XRP lawsuit, this has been hush-hush, but people like the World Economic Forum were even touting XRP Ledger, as the replacement for the SWIFT system. This does provide that backbone that is capable of being implemented into a QFS. I think that the QFS of the future, though, is going to be more organized towards another level of blockchain technology that's more biological. And this gets interesting because it goes a lot into last Q post that talked about DNA. And one thing that we were just talking about was SG-ANON talked about kind of like this modulation, demodulation aspect of the human body, to where we communicate with source. And this is actually done through our DNA. Our DNA, as done by research through a guy by the name of Dr. Martin Blank in 2014 at the University of Columbia University, found that DNA is an electromagnetic transducer, means it sends and receives electromagnetic signals, as well as a fractal antennas. If you cut it in half, it still keeps its self-symmetry and it still transmits and receives those signals. So it's a modulator, demodulator for our body. Now, Q said that we need to protect our DNA. There's a war for our DNA. In an interview with Dr. Michael Salla, one of the questions was asked is, what is the currency that is used? And he responded back that DNA. And it makes complete sense, because if you look in the sense of DNA, is that we all have a unique identifier that is simply us. And this is our resonant frequency is mapped within our DNA. Mine is different than yours, and yours is different than SG-ANON's, and everybody else is different from each other. So it's kind of like a cryptocurrency itself. Every single piece of DNA that you have is its own cryptocurrency and can be utilized in this exchange fashion. This is one of the reasons why Bill Gates came out with that patent for a blockchain that actually goes in and harnesses the energy of your body, the mind, and basically utilizes your DNA as part of the blockchain superficial structure. And so I think that we'll see a transition towards kind of like a containment of information and currency on a biological chain that will be integrated into what we can call the quantum financial system, in the sense of the exchange of data being at those levels and utilizing that technology.
Interesting. You know, I'm going to give you the floor, Joshua, here in a little bit, but I wanted to just add something. I think personally, and this is my personal speculation take on it, on Elon Musk, I think he's a welfare case. I think he's CIA, but he's white hat. And I think he's got access to the printing press through Trump, because Trump, I believe, is still the president. And basically, I think this is going to end up being one of the major breadcrumbs, if my speculation becomes reality, is we're going to be able to buy YouTube with monopoly money, okay, which is called the US dollar. That's actually, monopoly money's got more value than the US dollar, okay? And then they're going to crash the economy, which means they got YouTube for what? For free. That's my speculation. I could be dead wrong, but I have a way of thinking about this stuff that is sometimes unparalleled. Where are you guys on that? Because I know that we're close to the movie, and the timing of that tweet, him saying, I think I'm going to buy YouTube, is very telling.
Go ahead, SG.